My my topic right now is about whom are you getting your news from? Okay. What's interesting to understand is there's obviously a lot of news sources, right? I mean, you got a couple of international channels, right? Like CNN, for example, is international. They tackle the news in every country and so on. You have a couple of other sources, obviously, as well, which are international, like the BBC and Deutsche Welle and a couple of other large players. But my question is, do you get your sources, your news source from conservative sources or liberal sources? And what are the differences? A lot of times when it's a conservative news source, you're tending to think, oh my God, it's going to be religious talk. When you're talking about Democrat or liberal source, you're like, yeah, it's going to be cool, it's going to be open, free, and it'll make sense. And I would agree with you normally. I mean, I was a hardcore liberal before a couple of years ago. And now I consider myself to be more on the conservative side, not in a religious way. I'm not a religious guy. Okay, so when it comes to either party, it doesn't mean that if you're religious, you're automatically conservative. No, you have liberals or Democrats who can be religious as well. It's just that at one point, common sense needs to kick in, and it's important to understand that on both sides, some of them make sense, others don't make sense, or they make a little sense and then they inflate, or they just invent a lot of ideas about this particular subject. And so the question is, who do you listen to? I mean, if you want to get your news, who the hell do you listen to? I mean, everybody's got a bias, whether it's a liberal, whether it's a conservative, everybody's got their own tiny little sauce that they got to add. And so this makes you think, right? Like, if you cannot trust your conservative sources 100%, and if you cannot trust your liberal sources 100%, who do you trust? Well, lucky for you is that there's social media now. And so there's another outlook on the news out there from the perspective of a newbie, if you wish, okay? Somebody that hasn't studied journalism, hasn't studied the ropes about how you can get somebody's attention and how to do the ad placements and shit like that. And so I believe that this social media aspect to news is actually something that needs to be explored more in detail, okay? Because there is actually some interesting footage out there on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube of various events that were covered in a certain way by both conservative or liberal media, and a different way from the perspective of that individual. Even though that individual might himself be conservative or liberal, a lot of times these individuals, they don't know how to twist a situation and make it seem something else, like how the pros do it, like both conservative and liberal media. So at the end of the day, you have to use your old nugget, right? You gotta use your head to think and be able to actually find and smell the bullshit in certain stories. So, of course, the most popular one is about Trump, easiest target, easiest subject to talk about for many reasons, obvious ones, good ones, and obviously bad ones as well. But at the end of the day, he is my gauge when I need to understand if a news source is reliable or not. So, if you want to know if CNN is telling the truth, look at the full recording of Donald Trump's speech, the full recording, half an hour, whatever the fuck it is, and then look at the synopsis of CNN, their analysis. And if you see a discrepancy, for example, as in CNN making shit up or having a huge ass title that says one thing but the article is about something else, then I think you have your answer that CNN is bullshitting you. And you can do the same thing with Fox. There are situations where Fox has been caught, where they, tell tales, stories, if you wish. But that was, I believe, more before Obama time. As soon as Obama became president, Fox just kind of switched went 180 on themselves, and they started to actually report news more truthfully. I'm not going to say better, but more truthfully to the actual source. Basically, you have the horse's mouth, and then you have Fox, and then you have CNN. And the horse's mouth says one thing, Fox will report it maybe 95, 99% to the letter, and then CNN is going to probably give you 20, 30% of that. So that's how I know that in regards to Trump, Fox News is, well, more truthful towards what the horse is saying, whereas CNN doesn't do that. CNN, I don't know who's to blame. Is it their journalists that just don't understand what the fuck Trump is saying, or is it they're doing it on purpose? I mean, I don't want to blame them saying that necessarily they're doing it on purpose or that they're idiots, but the answer lies in somewhere in the middle. You know, the truth is somewhere in the middle. There might be idiots, or they might be doing it on purpose. And if it's not them, then it's maybe their editor or their producer, whoever the fuck it is that puts all that shit together. Well, that guy basically, starts editing, makes it seem just to create sensationalism and get you all worked up, either against Trump or against a certain situation and so on. And I mean, we see it, right, with a bunch of topics, For example, with when a black guy or a black girl is shot by the police, ooh, right away everybody just pauses and just goes crazy, because this is what the media wants you to do. They want you to go crazy, but they never talk about what about if a Latino gets shot? When is the last time you heard that a Latino got shot? Don't their life matter? I mean, they're probably the same percentage, if not more, than black people in America, and you don't hear the same outrage. So the media exploits this situation in such a way that it makes you wonder, like, is it truthful? Anyway, I'm not here to debate whether Black Lives Matter is a good movement or not, or if the media gives more attention. But what I'm here to debate is that a news outlet will always have some sort of an agenda. Obviously, conservatives are going to try to, portray Trump as a more positive guy than he might be, and CNN is going to portray him as a negative guy when he might be a bit more positive. Okay, so that's the whole idea here, is that I want you to understand that you need to do your research. You absolutely need to look at it, and does it pass the bullshit test or not? And if it doesn't pass it, then start doing your research, start looking online, look at different sources. Maybe there's a couple that are good, some good individuals that I can recommend as well. For example, Ben Shapiro, Dan Bongino, Mark Kay, obviously Joe Rogan, and even the eccentric Alex Jones. Sometimes he makes a lot of sense. Okay, I'm not saying I agree with everything he says, but he makes a lot of sense. And so the idea is to hear both sides of the story. Liberal media will always have their individuals where they're going to try to turn everything into a joke and make it sound ridiculous, and then you listen to the exact same subject on the conservative side and it'll make sense. It's not being taken as a joke. It's not being, manipulated in such a way. So again, look at both angles and try to understand what works for you. At the end of the day, I'm going to try to give you my opinion. I'm on both sides, whether it makes sense or not. There's a lot of situations that I believe CNN should have just, went ahead with a similar story as Fox News, especially when it comes to your president. I mean, seriously, do you have to twist his words? I mean, if the guy says, I have a black tie, what do you make it saying it's a rainbow tie? Like, seriously, let's just stick to facts, If the guy says one thing, report it as such. Don't twist his words and make it sound like something else. And then these idiots that are listening to you are going out there and, call you a fruitcake. Anyway, so with that said, start thinking, use your brain a little bit, start doing your research, start opening conversations, go on Facebook, go on YouTube, see what other people are saying. If it makes sense, practice your bullshit censor, And if it doesn't make sense, come on my page here and just put your comments down, and we'll have you on our show, and we'll discuss. We'll have a session where you can speak your mind. But start somewhere. Do the first step, like Russell Peters says. Be a man. Okay, so be a man. Take the first step. Do your research. If you feel that conservative media is telling you bullshit, message me. Let's talk about it. If you feel that liberal media is feeding you bullshit, talk to me about it. Let's have a conversation. Anyway, thank you for being with me on the show today, and I look forward to next week. As always, subscribe if you like what you hear. Share with your friends, and leave down your comments in the comment section. Thank you.